The story begins when a beautiful model named Molly Martins sees a nanny job a father had posted online. Molly lives in Knoxville, Tennessee, but the job is 3,700 miles away in another country, Ireland.
She went to Ireland at age 24. You know, you want to try something new. You want to see a different part of the world. You want to try a different career path.
Molly takes the job unseen and moves to Limerick, Ireland. She had never met the dad in person before she left Tennessee. Maybe she should have.
She ended up with a man. He was older, he was very controlling, he was very abusive, and he was a classic abuser.
That man was Jason Corbett. He needed someone to care for his 2 children after his wife, Margaret, died from a freak asthma attack.
This was an opportunity for her.
It was an opportunity for her. She went through the proper channels. She went through a screening agency.
Jason was a big, burly Irishman who apparently loved to drink beer.
He fit the profile of a person who outwardly, socially, is the life of the party, is the happy-go-lucky guy, you know, is the happy drunk. He likes to drink, but he's always happy. But inside the house, it's different. And the children know. They were the ones who saw it.
But Molly fell in love with Jason and with his adorable children, Jack and Sarah. Their lives were upended when Jason's company transferred him to North Carolina. Shortly after they moved, Molly and Jason tied the knot.
Looks like your traditional swept off your feet love story. They basically get hitched, they come back to America with the kids, and Molly's parents aren't too far by, so they settle down in this little house.
Life in the $390,000 house in Winston-Salem seemed to be nirvana. She worked as a swimming coach and doted on the kids.
She loved those children, and he knew she loved those children. They sent her Mother's Day cards for 8 years saying, "Dear Mom." They called her Mom. He called her Mom.
But beneath the bliss, a tense and difficult issue is about to come to a head. Even though Molly was the only mother the children really ever knew, Jason wouldn't allow her to legally adopt Jack and Sarah.
He had complete control over her. He didn't let her adopt the children, so she had no rights to the children.
Why is that?
I think it was a control mechanism. I think he knew that as long as he had sole rights to the children, that she wouldn't call 911 if he beat her.
If he beat her?
She claims that they had a pretty tumultuous relationship between the two of them. She claims she had a little more confidence knowing that her dad would be there to protect her, possibly if it escalated.
Is the new bride hiding a horrible secret that she's not living happily ever after? Molly's dad, Tom, isn't the type who would sit back and watch his daughter get roughed up. He's a retired FBI agent and worked in counterintelligence at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, a nuclear facility outside Knoxville.
And what about Tom?
Tom, of course, spent his whole career analyzing crime scenes. His family described him as wouldn't hurt a fly.
But what if that fly morphed into a monster? A monster who Tom claims had to be swatted with a baseball bat.
What happened inside those walls prior to Jason's death?
Sarah, the daughter, had woken up in the middle of the night, and she had awoken Molly. Mr. Corbett did not like the children coming into the bedroom for a variety of reasons, one of which is he would sleep nude. And he gets awoken, and he's very angry. He's mad at her for, quote, coddling the children. He suffocated her. He attempted to strangle her, which he had done before. This was not the first time. And she screamed, and her father came up.
Tom says when he heard the screams, he rushed upstairs to the bedroom and found Jason had Molly in a death grip.
He said, "I'm going to kill her."
Tom just happened to have a baseball bat with him, an aluminum bat, a present he claims was for young Jack.
Tom tried to get Corbett to let her go, and he wouldn't do it.
Tom claims he thought Jason, who was over 260 pounds, was going to kill them both. So the present, the bat, became a weapon. Tom swings at Jason's head again and again and again. Then Molly grabbed a paving stone. Yes, a paving stone that she says just happened to be on the nightstand. She smashes it into Jason's head. 12 blows, and Jason was on the bedroom floor, naked, bloody, and dead. Even though Tom was just in a fight to the death, he sounded extraordinarily calm when he called 911.
Our daughter's husband, my son-in-law, got in a fight with my daughter. I intervened, and I think he's in bad shape. We need help.
Okay, what do you mean he's in bad shape? He's hurt?
He's bleeding all over, and I may have killed him.
The 911 operator tells them to do CPR on Jason.
Is he conscious at all?
No,
Is he breathing?
I can't tell.
Cops rush to the scene.
When investigators arrived here at the house in the middle of the night, they weren't sure if this was a case of self-defense or murder.
We can't show you all the crime scene photos because they are as bloody as you can get. Blood spatter on the wall more than 4 feet high. Even the electrical outlet is covered in blood. Now take a close look at this photo of Molly in a mink coat detectives snapped shortly after the killing. There's blood on her face, but where's the blood on her pajamas and hands?
Tell me what happened tonight.
We're fighting.
Deputies take Molly and her dad down to the station for questioning.
Okay, so you guys are arguing, okay? How does it become physical? What happens?
He started choking me
Okay, where were you at when he was choking you?
in the bed.
Cops take a picture of Tom in the shirt he says he was wearing and his boxer shorts. Remember, he did CPR, so why isn't he still drenched in blood?
I was scared to death that he was going to kill her. And subsequently, I was scared to death that he was going to kill me.
Investigators begin to wonder, was this really self-defense? Or was there a diabolical plot to kill Jason? Even the most beautiful house can hide the ugliest secret. And for former model Molly Corbett, that secret, she claims, was a husband with a violent temper.
So there's a history of domestic violence at the house? Yes. How long has that been going on?
But forever came to a screeching halt after Molly and her father bludgeoned Jason Corbett to death with a baseball bat and a paving stone. They claim it was self-defense.
We need to try and find out what happened tonight, okay? All right.
Molly now finds herself in an interrogation room at the Davidson County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina, telling her side of the story to detectives.
How many times before tonight have you guys had physical altercations?
I don't know.
Too many to count?
A lot.
Molly tearfully explains her version of events that led up to the bloodbath.
Do you remember what you were fighting about?
My daughter had a nightmare. She thought that the fairies on her sheet were insects and spiders and lizards. And I woke up. I woke him up, so he's angry.
Woke your husband up?
He's angry that he was woken up.
So when he woke up, what happened?
I said she just had a nightmare. He choked me because he wanted me to shut up. And I screamed. I was screaming help, and he was screaming, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to kill her.
In the middle of the interrogation, Molly did something odd. something so unusual that it caught the eye of the detective.
Why do you keep grabbing your neck?
I'm sorry. It hurts. It hurts on both sides and back, and it hurts when I talk.
Remember the picture of Molly in her mink coat taken just after the killing? She appeared to be relatively unscathed by what she claimed was a choking attack.
Okay. Put your arm down this morning. Okay, let's see the other one. Okay. You want to get a picture of just your back?
Detectives take more pictures of Molly's alleged injuries in the interrogation room.
You know you got that bruise?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was from another night.
Another night when?
Just when he grabbed my arm.
Molly's part in the struggle was smashing a brick paving stone into Jason's head. She says there's a simple explanation about why it just happened to be in the master bedroom.
Do you have a brick on your nightstand?
Yeah.
What was that for?
The kids and I, we were gonna paint these bricks and flowers around the mailbox.
Then the detective breaks the sad news to Molly.
You know your husband didn't survive his injuries, right?
I didn't think so.
No, he didn't survive his injuries.
Down the hall, Molly's father, Tom Martins, was facing a separate team of detectives.
So I open the bedroom door, and he's got Molly by the throat, like this.
In a just the facts demeanor, honed by 3 decades as an FBI agent, Tom calmly explains why he hit Jason with the aluminum bat.
And he goes around her throat, like this. And I said, let her go. And it turned like, you know, I'm in trouble. Let her go. I'm going to kill her. Let her go. I'm going to kill her. Let her go. I'm going to kill her. And he reaches out and he grabs the bat. And he's stronger than I am. And he pushes me down. And I'm scrambling on the floor. My glasses fall off. Now I'm thinking, he's going to kill me. And I get the bat back. I don't know what happened while I'm down on the floor. And I can't tell you how many times I hit him, and I can't tell you how many times he shot me, and I can't tell you. It's bad.
The autopsy says Jason died from blunt force head trauma. His head was so badly damaged that pieces of skull reportedly fell onto the medical examiner's surgical table.
Was Jason drinking this evening?
Yeah. Yes.
Would you say that you thought he was drunk?
Yes, he was drunk.
But according to the toxicology report, Jason's blood alcohol was only 20 milligrams per deciliter, meaning he was 0.02, not legally drunk. However, scientists say blood alcohol can decrease after death.
I should have screamed.
Why should you not have screamed? Did you need help?
Yes.
Were you afraid for your safety?
Yes.
But something about their stories, Molly's claims of abuse, an absence of blood on their clothing, and Molly rubbing her neck makes prosecutor Gary Frank wonder, are they telling the truth?
She was, I would say, not frantic, but emotional, and kept rubbing her neck, even though there appeared to be no injuries to her neck. The photographs that were taken of the 2 defendants, they had no injuries and not much blood on them. The photographs of the victim shows the profuse bleeding, blood all over the room, and it was just strange.
After the investigators are finished with their questions, Molly and her father are allowed to go home.
You're not under arrest. As far as we're concerned right now, you're a witness.
They may not know it, but they're not off the hook yet. Far from it. An aluminum baseball bat. A brick paving stone.
I mean, here was a naked man in his own bedroom with no weapon. So there's a natural question is, what is a paving brick doing in the bedroom?
Cold instruments of death that crushed the skull of Jason Corbett.
They slaughtered him, like, they didn't just kill him, they slaughtered him.
That's Jason's twin brother Wayne in an interview with TV3 in Ireland. He says he tried, but just didn't click with the nanny turned housewife.
There was always something that never really set right with me with her.
Molly and Tom claimed they had no choice but to kill Jason in self-defense.
I know it sounds like an excuse, but I'm telling you, that guy was crazy. He wasn't just sloppy drunk. Something was wrong.
Something was wrong, bloody wrong.
These are the initial photos after the death.
Correct.
Prosecutor Gary Frank shows me the photos of Tom and Molly taken just hours after a killing so bloody we can't show them in their entirety.
And as you can see, this is dried blood, but it's not her blood. It's a blood smear from something.
At this point, I don't see any bruising to any parts of her
That's
neck.
correct.
They claimed they even performed CPR. So why weren't they covered in blood and bruises?
To say self-defense and to have this much blood, but no injuries to either one of them.
That's a critical factor in my opinion. And to argue that it was necessary for this when you wind up looking like this after the incident
As if you just left a picnic.
Is a very incredible leap in my opinion.
The investigation ramps up, and the prosecutor tells me the science doesn't match their stories.
The EMT people that first arrived on the scene noted that the body seemed cool. There was at least 12 blows to his head. 4 of the blows in and of themselves would be incapacitating, and 1 blow post-mortem. So that is not consistent with a self-defense claim in our mind.
During his interrogation, Tom claimed Jason had Molly in a death grip.
And he started to drag her toward the bed to the bathroom. I hit him with the baseball bat.
Frank says if that was true, then it would mean that the initial blows from the baseball bat hit him while he was standing up. But blood spatter experts found otherwise.
Do you believe the blood spatter on the wall really told the story of this murder?
I think it did. The blood spatter indicated that it was close to the floor. In the area of a couple of the blows, the drops are going horizontal, which indicates that the place of impact was low to the floor and the continuing spatter went across horizontal. The deceased was low and down already when the main blows to the back of his head took place.
Shortly after the killing, a social worker interviewed Jason's son, Jack, who backed Molly's claims of physical abuse.
Did you see him physically hurt her? Once or twice. What did you see? Punching, hitting, pushing.
But later in the investigation, Jack, now in Ireland, is interviewed on Skype by North Carolina prosecutors. And brace yourself, he gives a bombshell admission. He says his statements were false.
Molly made me lie to the people who were interviewing me.
And how did Molly make you lie?
She made up a lot of stories about my dad. He said that she was very abusive and she wasn't lying.
So the bottom line, what could be the motive for murder?
He had told members of his family that he was coming back to Ireland. He'll bring the kids and go back to Ireland.
Do you believe maybe this was the
motive? We believe that that's possibly a part of what precipitated this whole pot where this took place.
The grand jury indicted the pair on a charge of second-degree murder. The former FBI agent Tom and his daughter were in handcuffs.
A nanny and a former FBI agent, one person who has never committed a crime in her life and one person who spent his whole career on defending the law, and being accused of a very heinous crime.
Tom and Molly pleaded not guilty, and Alex Rose from our Greensboro affiliate WGHP Fox 8 was in the courtroom for the murder trial.
You could cut the tension in that courtroom. One side has already lost a beloved family member, the other side potentially losing two people that they love in their family as well.
The jury didn't buy the self-defense claims and convicted them both.
When that verdict was read, what was Molly's reaction and what was Tom's reaction?
Molly's reaction was the sharpest in the courtroom. She broke out in a wail. Molly turns back to her mother and she says, through choked up tears, "I'm sorry, Mom, I wish he would have just killed me."
In the loading dock at the back of the courthouse in Lexington, North Carolina, Molly and Tom in shackles, climbing into the van that will take them to prison. But in the front of the courthouse, something strange is about to happen.
One of the defendants, we didn't have any question as far as the participation. That was an easier vote. The other defendant, we had to discuss.
That's jury foreman Tom Omland. What he's about to say could dramatically alter the case.
We didn't discuss a verdict, but in having private conversations, we could read that everybody was going in the same direction.
Did you hear that? Watch again. This is the key part.
In having private conversations.
Private conversations. That's a no-no. Jurors are always admonished never to discuss the case outside the jury room.
The defense claims they have a witness who saw the jury foreman and another juror go into a Nissan right after that first day of deliberation, after that first hour and a half, and they had a 10 to 15-minute conversation.
But this witness never heard what they were saying.
You can only speculate as to what possibly happened in that car between 10 and 15 minutes. They could have been talking about Lexington barbecue for all we know.
Later, Omland doubled down on Facebook, posting, quote, "We decided on second degree for both, but feel Molly was the aggressor and her dad wanted to take the heat for her actions." According to Tom and Molly's attorneys, that was forming an opinion based on facts, not in evidence.
It was very troubling for me, especially when I hear jurors make comments, "Well, we felt it was overkill." Well, clearly you didn't listen to the instructions if that were the case.
Tom and Molly immediately filed a motion for a mistrial based on alleged jury misconduct. The judge disagreed. No mistrial. The conviction stands. Tom and Molly sentenced to a term of 20 to 25 years in state prison. Their attorneys say they are appealing the mistrial decision. Now Molly and her father are in separate prisons. They may never see each other again. At 67, Tom's sentence is so long it could mean he will die in prison. And in Ireland, the littlest victims of this horrific killing, Jack and Sarah, they've lost their father, and now they have lost Molly, the only real mother they ever knew.
Jason Corbett's family will make sure he is remembered for what he was, not for how he died.